Elena had always been drawn to the forest. Its dense canopy, earthy scent of pine, and the soothing sound of rustling leaves offered an escape from the pressures of her everyday life. One evening, she ventured deeper than usual, eager to find a hidden waterfall she had heard about from an old man in the nearby village. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Boris transformed. Shadows lengthened, and an eerie stillness settled over the woods. Elena's excitement turned to unease, but she pressed on, determined to find the waterfall before nightfall. She followed a narrow, overgrown path that seemed to twist and turn of its own accord. The deeper she went, the more the forest seemed to close in around her. The sounds of wildlife faded, replaced by an unsettling silence. Elena glanced at her phone. There was no signal, and the battery was nearly dead. Suddenly, she heard a faint whispering. At first, she thought it was the wind, but as she listened more closely, she realized it was a voice, a soft, indistinct murmur that seemed to be calling her name.
Elena. She froze, her heart pounding.
"Who's there?"
She called out. There was no response, only the whispering, growing louder and more insistent.
Elena.
Fear gripped her, but curiosity propelled her forward. She followed the whispering voice, her steps quickening as the path grew narrower and more treacherous. Just as she began to doubt her decision, she stumbled upon a small clearing. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches stretching out like skeletal arms. At the base of the tree was a large moss-covered stone. The whispering had stopped. Elena approached the stone, her breath shallow. She reached out to touch it, and as her fingers made contact, the stone shifted, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was a weathered journal, its pages yellowed with age. She opened the journal and began to read. The entries were written in a hurried, almost frantic script, describing strange occurrences and sightings in the forest. One entry in particular caught her eye.
October 13th, 1923. The whispers grow louder each night. They call my name, beckoning me to the ancient oak. I fear I am losing my mind, but I must know the truth. Tomorrow I will follow the whispers.
As Elena read, she felt a chill run down her spine. The date was exactly 100 years ago. She continued reading, but the rest of the journal was filled with incomprehensible scribbles and dark, ominous sketches of the forest.
Elena.
The whispering returned, louder and more urgent. She looked around, panic rising. Forest seemed to be closing in on her, the shadows deepening. She clutched the journal and ran back toward the path, but the way she had come was now obscured by thick undergrowth.
Elena.
The voice was right behind her. She turned, her eyes wide with fear. There was no one there. She stumbled backwards, tripping over a root and falling to the ground. As she scrambled to her feet, she saw a figure standing in the shadows. Tall, indistinct shape with glowing eyes.
Who are you?
Elena turned and ran, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't stop until she burst out of the forest and into the safety of the village. She collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath, the journal clutched tightly in her hands. The villagers found her and brought her to the old man who had told her about the waterfall. His face paled when he saw the journal.
"You found it. The journal of my great-grandfather. He disappeared in those woods 100 years ago."
Whispers. They were real. There was a figure. Told me to leave.
The forest is haunted by those who have lost their way. It calls to the living, trying to lure them into its depths. You were lucky to escape.
Elena shivered, vowing never to venture into the whispering woods again. She had found more than she had bargained for, an ancient mystery and a chilling warning that would haunt her for the rest of her life.